also going to be shipping some logs to Elastic, which was requested last time, and see how we can analyze things in Elastic itself from Amazon. And last, we're going to be talking about a couple of shift left scenarios. And if time permits today itself, we will be also integrating the SSO. So concepts around that and understanding that. Otherwise, next class, I'm just going to be covering a few topics, specifically bug bounty, uh, also with JWT, etc., what that does, how do we do backups. So all those kind of things will be covered, but we'll see how much we can do, provided that we have enough time. So for now, I hope all of you have got your consoles open. What we're going to be doing for the WAF scenarios to efficiently run it and test it is that we're going to be deploying an image, which is basically an Ubuntu machine, and we'll just install the DWVA on it, which is just a damn vulnerable web app on that. And hopefully we can then test out some scenarios which we can launch over top 10 attacks on that, and then we can mitigate each attack using the AWS map itself. So for now, just come to your consoles. I hope you're in your individual regions and don't cross connect with each other. So just make sure we're not doing that. Come to launch instances. You can just name whatever application that you want to put in. Here, instead of Amazon Linux, just click on Ubuntu. And on your Ubuntu server, just select 18.04. Why I'm selecting 18.04 is because DVWA has maximum compatibility with Ubuntu and 18.04 at the moment. So hence I'm just launching this so that we don't face any issues in terms of machining, etc. as well. What we need to do is launch this machine into a private subnet. And like last time, what we had done was we need to provide three types of connectivity on this. Number one is 80, number two is 22, and number three is that we need inter VPC connectivity. So you need to add this machine behind your NLB. You need to add this machine behind your load balancer as well, which is the application load balancer. And we should be able to open the page itself for the DVWA using our browser. So that is where we will start. Then we will configure the AWS WAF itself. Uh, Remember, AWS WAFs configure on load balancers. So we need to have the machine behind a load balancer in order for it to work. So to start with, put a name, select Ubuntu 18.04. You can leave everything else as is, select your key pair. In network settings, remember, because we need to launch it within our, we want to make it work in a private subnet. So we will be putting it in one of our private subnets that we have. Security groups, you can select existing security groups as well if you have a port 80 from everywhere and port 22 from everywhere and port and VPC connectivity from everywhere. So just select all of those. So we need 80, 22 and inter VPC connectivity. Rest of the things you can leave as they are, and you can just click on launch instance after that.
I through.
Yeah.
Somebody has like deleted my VPC. I'm not able to see my last VPC, which I have created. Last
You are in which region?
version, not version.
Launch.
Not able to see.
I can see your VPC here.
Okay, I guess I'll log out and sign out. It might have taken my previous one.
Yeah, just log out and log in once.
Okay, sure.
Dhruv, just to update, I am also using North Virginia.
Uh, Preferably use a different region so that you guys don't clash with each other. There are multiple European regions as well which you can use. Uh, I mean, preferably if you can, that's good. If you've already got your setup in a single region already, then you can use it, but then don't try to clash work with somebody else.
Yeah, but it has been default assigned to me. That's why.
So whenever you log in, you will always log in into North Virginia because that's a default region. Thereafter, you have
Yeah.
to switch region.
Okay.
So there are multiple other regions which you can use over here. I don't know which ones are now empty. So, but you can just click on it and check. Uh, Let me see if this one is being used.
Probably we can put it in the chat so that we don't have the clash. So whoever is using that particular location. So
I had already asked you all to do it, but still we have clashes there. So
Hmm. You can check based on the names, I guess, no? Or
yep. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so Ireland is empty at the moment. Somebody who wants a fresh region, Ireland is there. Let me.
Ireland, I have taken Dhruv.
Okay, apologies.
yeah.
Okay,
who's taken Ireland?
I have
Abhishek.
taken AWS Ireland. Yeah.
Frankfurt is empty as well if you guys want.
We need one more then. I thought I was in Ireland.
London is empty.
Okay, then I'll take London. Datta, you want to take Frankfurt? Oh, you can take London because you are in London now.
Yeah.
I'll take Frankfurt.
You can take it. Already built in Virginia, but I'll move it later.
It might clash with me. Don't delete anything from mine.
No,
Yeah,
I'll
so
not. Yeah.
if you're working in the same region, just don't delete anything. Rest
Yeah.
otherwise
Yeah.
it shouldn't matter really.
Yeah.
All right. I'm assuming everybody has launched a DVWA app. So again, I'm just reiterating what we need to do. We need to go to launch instances, give yourself a name, click on Ubuntu. Make sure we select 18.04. Don't select 22.04. There are some issues with the DVWA on 22.04. Once you launch 18.04, select your key pair, launch it in a private instance or your subnet, right? Give it connectivity on port 22, port 80, and within VPC, and just launch this machine thereafter. I'll just wait a couple of minutes here just for everybody to launch the machine. Just let me know once you're done.
We need to pick Ubuntu 18.04, you said, right?
Absolutely.
But from then we don't need to do any additional setting, right? Whatever like VPC, we have to select VPC and private network. That's it, right?
Yes, that's it. And your security group should have 80, 22, and within VPC connectivity. So I'll just put it up on my screen. 18.04 Ubuntu instance type key pair, whatever. If you don't have your old one, just generate a new one. Network settings, it has to be in a private subnet with 80, 22, and within VPC access. That's about it. Those of you who are done with launching your machine, you can go and add this machine in the load balancers target group. So we need to create 2 new target groups like last time, because now we will be changing the instance to from the last time where we installed Apache on a Ubuntu machine, sorry, on an Amazon Linux machine. Now we want to basically map it to this instance for both 22 and 80. So either you can go and modify the targets in this target group itself, or you can just create 2 new target groups and then do that. Up to you. I leave it up to you what you want to do.
So we have to do one network load balancer and one application load balancer.
So I need you to connect on the machines via SSH, and I need you to, once we do install the damn vulnerable web app, I need it to open via the browser, which is going to be on port 80. So I leave the call to you now what you need to do.
Dhruv, when I'm trying to create the key pair, it gives me this error. You're not authorized to perform this function operation. Encoded authorization failure message.
Can you, which region are you in?
Oregon.
Can you just try again?
Yep, sure.
Is your session active? Because I'm still seeing that your last activity is still coming up 6 days ago. So just probably log out and log in once again and see.
Yep, sure.
Folks, if you're
True.
using,
Yeah, we have to create 2 target groups of what did you say actually? Sorry.
I'll just reiterate what I require. I require SSH connectivity to this machine that we've created, and I require port 80 connectivity to this machine. So I need to open HTTP, whatever the load balancer IP is on that machine. So we've done this exercise, right? I basically need connectivity via SSH on this machine that we've created, and I need port 80 connectivity on this machine, which is basically via the load balancer. Now, if you want to do it via target groups that you already have, and you want to deregister the existing target and you want to add the new target, you can do that. If you want to create 2 new load balancers, you can do that. If you want to use the same load balancers with different target groups, you can just create the different target groups and then do it.
Okay. So, okay.
End goal, I need SSH access into the machine, and I need port 80 access onto the machine. So HTTP access on it. So what I'm doing is I'm using my same target groups that I had. So I'm just deregistering the existing web app that I had, and I'm going to add the new one. If you want to create new target groups, you can do that as well.
For port 22, can you just open it 1 second, Drew?
Sure.
TCP22. Okay. And this should be on the same VPC only, no?
VPC, yes. Folks, just one thing, here your user will not be EC2-user, it will be Ubuntu. If you ever have a doubt in terms of what is the default user to connect, you can just go to instances, click on that machine and just click on connect over here. You'll see the default username you need to use. So if you go to the earlier machine that we had launched, you'll see that it's using EC2-user. If you click on this machine that you launched and you click on connect, you will see the new user that you need to use.
Through facing one issue. Can I show my screen?
Yes, please.
So here I have already created app target group, but it is not showing. When I was creating network load balancer, that time it was listing out that group, target
Yeah.
group. But for app, it is not listing out.
Okay. Just go back up 1 second. Okay, you're creating a new load balancer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just go to target groups. Which one?
Ruta Ubuntu app target group. Here I have to assess.
This is a new one that you created right now?
Yes.
Target type is application load balancer, should be instance, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm getting server refused my key while
So
doing SSH.
your key.
Hmm.
Okay. Have your targets become healthy?
Let me check.
Or did you select the right key when creating the instance?
Yeah,
Target,
key is same.
the target on the target group, will they be healthy? Because on 80 port I'm seeing unhealthy. I believe nothing would be running, right?
Port 80 it will not be healthy, but the port 22 one should be.
Okay, still
Yeah,
in
it is healthy.
Okay, let's see then. Just give me a second. What region are you in?
Sydney.
See. Okay. You're using this key only, right?
Yes, same key.
Connecting fine, even if I'm not in healthy.
So when your instances are not healthy, it is just routed to the default port itself. So it will work if you don't have, like, if you only have one instance, then it works. If you don't have, I mean, if you have more than one instance, then you don't know where traffic is landing. Okay, can you just share your screen and show me what you're seeing now?
Yeah.
Yeah, just click on accept.
Yeah, now it came. Earlier this window didn't came actually.
Okay. It just takes some time sometimes, that's all.
Yeah, now it is working.
Dhruv, my load balancer is also not getting added. Actually, the target group. Shall I share my screen?
Yes, please.
Yeah. If selecting a target group, it is not reflecting.
Just go back to target groups once.
Yeah.
Just refresh it. So which target group are you using?
This port 80.
Just scroll right a little bit once. Okay, let me see which region are you in. North Virginia. You're in North Virginia only, right?
Yeah, North Virginia.
Why can't I see your target groups? Are you in the same account that we are in?
Which account? Sorry.
Just click the top right once. No, the top right. Just go further right and click it.
No.
No. Okay, you're in a different account altogether, so I don't know which account you're using. Anyways, okay. Just come down. Just click on
Quick question.
Yeah,
Sorry. What will be the user for Ubuntu?
it's Ubuntu itself.
Ubuntu, right?
Yeah. Okay, just go back to your load balancer now. Just refresh, click on the right refresh button here on the right. It's here only. You don't need to refresh the whole page. Just drop this down now. Just go back up. Okay, go further up. Okay, just come down. Okay, just come down further, please. You have to select the second subnet also to be public.
Second subnet. Yeah.
This is a private subnet. You need to send it to a public subnet. So just create another public subnet for a load balancer to work.
Okay, one more subnet. Okay.
Yeah, it needs to be public. So both subnets need to be public for a load balancer.
Okay. I'll create and I'll update.
Oops, screen not shared. Okay, has everybody been able to SSH into the machines?
Yes.
Okay. Has everybody got access to their SSH? Anybody?
Yes, SSH I am able to do.
Okay. Port 80 will still be down. That's okay. You can leave that as is. It will come up once we install Apache on the machine. But SSH, does everybody have access to?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So what we'll do next is I'm just pasting a command. Okay, I've just pasted a command here. What this is going to do is it's going to install Apache 2, which is basically Apache itself. It's going to install MariaDB, which is MySQL. It's going to install PHP. It's going to install PHP MySQL connector. It's going to install the PHP Apache library, which is the mod PHP library that we require. So it's installing 4 things on your machine. So you can just copy this on the Ubuntu machine itself and fire it.
Unable to locate game.
Okay, just run a sudo apt update first. It
No,
takes some
I did
time.
sudo. MariaDB server is unable to locate.
Okay.
Update. You have to update. If you do sudo apt-get update, it will do.
Oh,
For
first
me
I have
also.
to do that.
Yeah. Sudo.
Just okay. So before this, just run a command called sudo apt update. It will just fetch all the latest repositories and refresh them once. So just run that before you do.
Do it's done for me.
That command is done?
Yeah.
Wow, that's fast. Okay, just
because I have already installed Apache 2 previous.
okay,
when
just
it
hang on for 2 seconds. Next command that we need to run is a git clone. So we'll be basically cloning the damn vulnerable web apps repo itself. So you can just clone this repository. Folks, anybody port 22 not working, let me know. Once you're done with the git clone command, the next one that we will be running is a rsync command. So what this will do is any files that you create in the dvwa folder, which is basically what you downloaded right now, it will automatically copy those files in the var www.html folder, which is basically the default path or the default directory for Apache. So any changes that we're making in DVWA, we don't need to constantly go and copy them again and again. We can just simply run an rsync command, and the rsync command basically does whatever we write in DVWA, it'll keep updating it in var.html.
just quick question. So in what interval it will be syncing?
So the moment it listens to file triggers. So the moment you make any file, it'll then do it. And then just see if you've seen all the files from DVWA to come up. So you can just run an ls command. So you should see a lot more files coming up now in var.html, which basically I just got synced from the DVWA folder. And before we do anything else, we will now, okay, cannot test that out right now. Give me a second. Okay, the next thing that we will do is remove the default index.html page, which we usually used to see. So just fire a command called rm-r. It will basically just remove the index.html file that you have here in this folder, which is basically the default page that we have.
So one step back, like after we git clone it, so we'll put all those files in the var.ww HTML, right?
Yes. So we run the rsync for putting it in the index of Apache. So there are two ways to do it. Either you can change the index of Apache itself from var.html, or you can write whatever files that you have in var.html.
I generally
So
copy all to
yeah,
HTML.
yes. So, but we will be consistently making changes in the configuration file. So we'll have to consistently keep copying and overwriting and restarting Apache. So instead of doing that, we just write an rsync.
Okay.
So once you sync your files, we'll just run a ls to list it to just see that the sync has worked or not. If you see the files come up, then you can just remove the index.html after that.
Index.php is also there.
Yeah, leave that as is right now. Don't just remove index.html.
Yeah, remove.
Post that, we will just copy the configuration for PHP itself also into this folder, the config.inc. So just pick up that file from the dist and put it in the HTML config part. Once you're done up till here, let me know. After this, we'll start the database setup.
Yeah, done.
Perfect. Just hang on for a minute or two. Let everybody come on the same page.
And you are sharing your browser only.
Oh, you're not seeing my terminal? I'm so
No.
sorry. Damn. Where is it? Where is it? Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm really sorry. Okay.
No problem.
Once we are done with this, there are multiple ways of going into root. So you can do a sudo su or you can do a sudo bash. You will become the root user then. And then the next thing that we're going to run is configuring MySQL. So let's use MySQL -u root and -p. It'll ask you for a password. Just hit enter. There should be no password at the moment. You should be inside MariaDB like I am right now.
Sorry, Dhruv, what is the password?
Nothing, just hit enter.
See, okay.
Post this, we'll run a command to create the DBWA database itself. So you can just write create database DBWA. This is MS SQL itself on Ubuntu. MS SQL is basically called MariaDB. So just hit enter here. It'll create that database for you. The next thing we're going to do is create a user. So let's create DBWA at localhost identified by so I've just put in a password and next we'll grant all rights on DBWA. So this is just a simple database setup what we're running at the moment. Once we do grant rights, we need to flush them in order for them to take effects. So we just flush privileges. So in a sense, what we've done is we've created a database with DBWA. Post that we've created a user called DBWA, which password we've identified by p@SSW0RD. We've granted all rights to this user on this database that we've created. And after that, we've just made effect into the rights that we've done by flushing the privileges. You can exit this shell after this by hitting Control C. And you can exit the root shell also by hitting Control C or Control D, either way. You'll come back to your Ubuntu shell. Let's just see if we've used the right username and password for this. So you can just go to config.inc.php once, just vim this file. So if you wonder why I've created a database with DBWA, why I've created a user with DBWA, and why I set the password as that, because this is the password, etc., which is available in the damn vulnerable web apps config itself. So I've just set those same details and created the database like that. This you can find here. You can either vim it or you can even cat this file. Everybody up to speed here? Okay. Last thing that what we need to do is create or configure our PHP. So first let's just run a command called php-v to just see if PHP is installed correctly. If this is working, what we need to do is just go into the configuration file for PHP, which is apache2 and php.ini. I'll just paste this for you first. So two commands I've run is to check the version, and the second one is to enter the configuration itself. You can just scroll down a little bit on this file. We need to check a couple of settings here. So the first setting that we need to check is if URL encoding is on. So we will just type allow over here. You can hit a / and you can just type the whole sentence you're trying to search for. So if you see allow URL encode is currently off, what we need to go do is change this to, sorry, you need to run this with sudo, sorry, or if you're root it'll run fine. You need to change allow URL encode to on. Allow URL fopen should be on as well. There is something called as safe mode, if that exists. If it doesn't exist, let's check. Okay. In case safe mode doesn't exist, what you can do is you can just add it here. Anywhere in the file, doesn't make a difference where you do it. I'm just doing it next to the same configurations that I touched. So in case I need to find it out, I can locate it easily. So I'll just type in safe underscore mode is equal to off. Okay. The next thing we add is and okay, we leave display errors to be off itself. So this is what we need to check or we need to modify in the config.ini file itself. Once you're done with all these settings, you can just write and save it.
The second config, where have you added?
The allow URL fopen.
Yes.
It's right above that itself. It's already on, so I don't need to do anything. So when you come to allow URL include, this will be off. So you switch it to on.
Yes.
Allow URL f open is like 4 or 5 lines above that. And then you can just add safe mode and magic code GPC here itself.
Okay, so last 2 lines we have to.
Yeah, that you need to add. So safe mode and magic code GPC you need to add. Display errors is already off.
Okay.
How I came to know that is if you type here and if you hit here, you'll see it on line 474. The rest of the settings that we've done is on line 833. So if you don't want to do the forward slash and come there, you can just hit colon 833 and you'll be here. Okay, once we're done with all this, you can just write and exit this file. Just make sure you open it with sudo because you require write privileges on this file.
The last three parameters I'm not able to find. Safe mode, magic.
We need to add them. Display errors is already there, but third and fourth we need to add. So if you see, I've added them here.
Okay. My 833 is something different.
Ouch. Okay.
Okay.
It might happen due to he has added some lines.
Yeah, but should be like around there only.
Yeah.
For my display errors,
Mm-hmm.
there are many values. Default value,
Keep hitting it.
development.
Keep hitting and you will see one value come up. Go to the next one, you'll find it there.
Okay.
Those are not the values that we need to touch. There will be another value which will already be on off.
So that is off only.
Yeah, you don't need to change that value.
So now safe mode and magic codes I need to enter at 833 line only.
You can enter it anywhere. Doesn't make a difference. Just keep it somewhere so that in case you need to find that configuration, we can find it and remove it.
So I'll add the display error line only.
Yeah. No, display errors should already be there. Display errors off is already there. Safe mode and magic codes is something you need to add.
Yeah. So just below it I'll add.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is done.
Cool. Couple of steps, I think last 2 or 3 left, is we need to provide the right privileges to the folder so that the app can upload uh, images, etc., scripts that we are basically doing. So for this, we'll just give them a ch own command first. So we're just changing the ownership here first. The next thing we'll do is modded to 777 for the app to read the configuration. The next we will do is modify the PHP ID hackable file itself. So if you're wondering what this all is, this is just to get the damn vulnerable web app to be able to upload into Apache. So we're just allowing the right permissions there. And the last one will be if you're done with all of this, just run a systemctl, restart Apache 2. If everything goes well, you should be able to just curl an HTTP on localhost. Jeez. And you should see your session ID, etc. come up. If you want to see the whole thing, you can just hit setup.php and you should see the DVWA app itself open out. If that is working, that means we've done the setup correctly.
With systemctl, we need to start the PHP, right?
Just Apache 2, that's it.
Okay, okay.
Call HTTP localhost.
Yeah, just type http localhost slash setup.php.
In curl command, I am not getting anything.
You're not getting anything. Just share
Curl,
your screen. Curl minus,
what?
just type curl minus v on http localhost, curl minus v, you should get a 302.
Call minus V.
So basically you'll see it's basically making curl going into verbose mode. So curl space minus v and then just type http colon slash
Yeah,
slash.
minus V, I am getting something.
Yeah, but now do a slash localhost slash setup.php without the minus v also you'll get the DVWA app.
Okay, HTTP localhost.
Slash / setup.php.
Okay.
If you're getting that there, that means you're good to go. And now you can go to your target group and check if that has become healthy or not. So it will only become healthy if in the health checks we have accepted a range or the exact response code this time is 302. But if you want to give this on the setup.php script, then it is a 200. So how do I know that? Is all these things we basically check from curl itself. So where the load balancer will hit is going to hit this. So what you will get as a response code is 302. So if you have the 302 response code in your load balancer setup, it will come up as healthy. But if we hit this on setup.php this time, you will see here HTTP 200. So if you're giving a path to be slash setup.php, just a second.
Yeah, it's working. It's healthy.
Yeah. So either you give a variable over here. So basically what I've done is 200 to 499. I've given a range. In case you want this exactly to work, then you type in 302 over here. If you want this to work on a 200, then you go slash and you do setup.php over here. So it's up to you how you want to do it.
I gave the range.
Yep, easier. Once this comes up as healthy, just go to your load balancer, open your DNS name again, and just hit it up. And you should see the DVWA app come up.
Okay. Check
If
it.
configurations are working fine. If there's some issue, let me know. So this is where we need to be.
Mine is healthy, but the LB is not responding. I mean,
Okay.
not working.
Just share your screen, please.
Yeah, mine is working.
Perfect. All right,
This
let's just
one.
go back to EC2. You need to open it from the load balancer, the application load balancer, not the NLB.
Oh, I mean NLB. Okay, my bad.
Just try this record, the DNS name for the ALB, it should work. Anybody lost in the setup? Anybody facing any issues? Let me know. What we need to see is basically
I
this.
got Apache page.
You got Apache page, okay? Share your screen. All right, just open your terminal, please. Just hit localhost itself first. Yeah. All right. There was a rm command that I had given you to delete the index.html page. If you just scroll up, I will just tell you which command I'm talking about. It is basically this one.
This one?
No, not index.php. It should be index.html. Yeah, just delete index.html.
I
Just
don't
type
think it's
rm.
there.
It's there on the first line.
Okay, okay.
Just type rm.
Sudo, I guess. No, it's okay.
It's okay. You have 777 on this. So
Yeah.
yep. Just restart Apache now.
Okay. Oh, directly it came.
Okay, cool.
For me, it's not coming. Shall I share my screen?
Yes, please.
Connection timeout is coming.
Perfect. Like those problems. Let's see. Let's go back to your Ubuntu shell first.
Okay.
So you're getting a 200. Okay, so everything configuration wise is fine here. All right.
Fine.
Now let's go back to your listeners. Okay, just open your TG.
Forget it.
Okay, things are healthy here as well. Now just go back to your instance. Just open the security on this. The security tab.
Okay.
Okay, 80, 22, everything is allowed. That is fine. Perfect. All right. Let's just go to load balancer now. Just go to description once. And just scroll down a little bit. Okay, just keep scrolling down. Just check the security group here. What does this say? Okay, just say edit inbound rules. Just turn this around to o.o.o.o.o. Okay, just delete this row once. Now just say add rule and just make type as all traffic. Yep, just save it. Cool. Additionally, I just hope you didn't add any knuckles here, right? So that is clear.
No, I have checked the knuckles previously only.
Cool.
Nothing.
Just rerun this once. Open the.
Yeah, coming.
Cool.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. Anybody who's not getting this page, please.
So why that all did not work? Mine is
Uh,
all only, I guess, but it is working.
Yeah, so that was on a specific security group itself that was basically not allowing that 80 traffic to go through. So if you look up that SG that was added, so you can add SGs into SGs as well, right? You can loop them in, but then they need to have o.o.o open there. So that SG basically did not have o.o.o open there. So the security group works on two layers on the web application firewall. It also has a security group, then it has it on the instance.
Mine is all only ALB security group, but it is working.
Okay, we'll check in a bit. All right, those of you who are here, just type in the admin username and the password that we had set. You should see something like database setup come over here.
What is the password, sir?
It's we had set it on the. I'll share it with you here, but it's.
Oh, MySQL, which you said that one.
Yes.
Okay. Actually, I changed it to a smaller password on my convenient at that time in the command itself.
Okay, so do you remember it or no?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, that's fine. Once you are here, just click on create or reset database over here.
True.
Yep.
PHP function URL include coming disable for me. Okay, let me check once.
Check your PHP configuration in that case.
Yeah.
Okay, to simplify this, now you will just be able to log in with admin and password. So now the password will be password itself, which is easier. This is after you click create or slash reset database in the last step. Let me know once all of you are here.
Yeah, there.
Perfect. To make things easier, just click on DBWA security and just make this to low and submit it because we don't want to be experts here in setting payloads, but the idea is to check WAF's capabilities. So just reiterating, the first time that you log into DBWA, you will use the username admin and the password as p@ssw0rd, which we had set during the MySQL setup. Over there, you will just come and scroll down and click on create slash reset database. Once you do that, it will log you out back to the DBWA screen. Post that, your credentials are admin and password is PASSWW0ORD, sorry, the normal password spelling of in English. Once you come here, click on DBWA security and just change this to low and click on submit. to verify if everything is working correctly, we will just take the ALB port and this time open it on login.php. We should see a username/password screen come up, and that is where we want to be.
So can you repeat once, please? Because I was.
So the first time that you log into DWA, right, you'll use the admin and password from the MariaDB setup that we did.
Yeah.
Post that, you will see a create reset database option over here. Just click on that.
Yes.
You will get logged out and you will come to the screen. Once you do that, credentials are admin and PASSWORD, the normal password spelling.
Okay.
Once you come here, you need to change DVWA security to low and click on submit. To test this out, this is actually on low. You can just click on SQL injection, put user ID as anything 1, 2, 3, whatever. You should just get some details here. That means our setup is working fine. Once you are here, we will go back to our AWS screen. Anybody who's not got the setting till here, let me know before I start with the AWS setup.
In SQL injection, if you type 1, it's showing admin, but it is admin password, no?
Oh, this is hitting the DB, which is the setup at the backend.
Yes.
It's not the admin password that you're talking about. So the login credentials are never touched in this.
Gotcha. Okay.
If you want to check, go to your, show you where it is. Let's see how things are. Oops, why broken pipe? Okay, let's log into MariaDB and let's ask it to show us databases. Let's click DVWA. This is what you're seeing.
Yeah, so password is hash.
And your password that we are basically using to log in to this is under MySQL.
Okay, we can set up web.
Yes. Okay, everybody till here?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, next, let's go for search for services. Just type WAF over here in the service. You'll see WAF and Shield. Just click on that. And we'll see something called as create web ACL. So let's click on create web ACL. You can give any name over here. Under description, you can add the same thing or you can put something else, up to you. CloudWatch metric name, again, you can add whatever you want. You can put the same name for ease as well. Now in resource distribution, there are two ways to do it. Either we can protect CloudFront itself, which we haven't done yet, which is the CDN, or we can just protect our load balancers, API gateways, etc. So currently our load balancers, we've created a load balancer and we have everything over there. So what we're going to do is go to regional resources, select the resource that you are in or the region that you are in. So before you do anything, just select the resource that you're in. I mean, just select the region that you're in, otherwise your name, etc. will go off. Come to add AWS resources. Come to application load balancer. You will see your load balancer over here and just click on add.
Done through.
Perfect. Click on next. What we're going to see is add rules and rule groups, right? You will see something called as web ACL rule capacity units used. That means we can have ACLs, but we can't exceed 1500 ACLs in one single rule group. So what we'll do is we'll do add rules. Let's go to add manage rule groups. So these are the ones that AWS basically provides us. By default, we can also use other rule groups as well, which we can subscribe if you want to basically use F5 rule groups or some other company's rule groups. You can use all of these, but we have to pay a charge for that. So what we'll do is we'll just use the AWS custom managed rule groups here, right? And there are also additional free rule groups that we have here. So we can use multiple of them, but to make it simple and first see what we want to do, just come down to core rule set. So just select the core rule set. And the second one, just select as PHP application. And the next one, just select as SQL database. So I selected 3. Under free rule groups, the core rule set, the PHP application, and the SQL database. Once you're done with this, click on add rules. So you should see the common rule set come up, the rules PHP rule set come up, and the SQLi rule set come up. Here you can define what action do you want to take. So let's select as block. If you want to give a custom response to know actually the WAF is blocking you, you can give a similar response code and you can add a new header or you can create a new body. So let's just create a header name by saying.
But the actions that don't match any rules, so it should be allowed, no?
Sorry?
It is
Oh,
the
yeah.
default.
My bad.
Okay.
Apologies. Just leave this as allow. Okay. Click on next after this. You can leave the metrics as is.
The custom header, what exactly done? I missed
Oh,
that.
we'll do that here. We'll do that after some time. We can modify the response to basically see
It
if
can
actually
inspect the header, correct?
yeah. Additionally, it can just add another header to basically let you know that the WAF is blocking you or not. So in real systems, you might have multiple layers, right? So like 401 or 403s can be provided by multiple layers itself. Even Apache can do it, even say mod security can do it. But is it actually Akamai, the AWS WAF which is actually blocking me? That is something that we can come to know by adding a custom header in the response, which we'll do in a bit.
So we selected 3 rules and the capacity units crossed 1000.
Yeah, it's about 1000 exact right now.
So what exactly? The rules are inside those.
They basically have
Loop.
rules inside them. They have common WAF rules inside them.
So in the this for example, first rule say there are 700 rules written.
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So these are nothing but signatures that your WAF uses. Here you can define priority if you want, but we can leave it as is. Come to next, CloudWatch metrics, you can leave as is. You can just review this if you want. And just click create web ACL. What you'll see over here is your web ACL is created. If you click on this, you will be able to see details in terms of requests per 5-minute period. So it sums it up. Sampled requests is something that you can see over here. So these are metrics. What rules you're using, you can see those here, right? Now, for example, you want to set custom responses for rules, right? Which I said, if you want to basically add another header, etc. Okay, we can do it for that as well. We'll just do it in a bit. Let's just test this if this works. Just check if associated AWS resources, your application load balancer is here or not. So this should be added here. Once we're done with this, just open EC2 out again. Scroll to your load balancers. Click on ALB. If you scroll down this time, you will see something called here as WAF fail open. What this does as well is we'll just talk about it. But let's test if things are working out in the first place. So let's log into our DBWA app here. And let's try firing some payloads this time. So any SQL injection payloads you want to fire, you can fire over here. You will see a 403 forbidden come up this time. And you will see if you open the network request tracker that this is coming in from the ELB itself.
So what to type? I typed 123, but it is getting response.
I'll share the payload with you.
So 123 will work.
123 will work because there's no SQL injection in that, right? So this is basically a SQL injection payload which I triggered. So if you go back and if you just type 1 over here and submit it, it'll work, right? Which is the expected behavior that it should work because it's not a SQL injection payload, right? Let's try installing a script tag here if you want a very basic script tag.
Yeah, it is 403.
And you run it, it will block you.
Yep.
If you come to your WAF again and you click on overview, you will see some sampled requests over here. You will see what requests it's allowing from which source IP and which requests it's trying to block.
Where in WebACL sample request?
Yeah, if you come to overview, just scroll down to sample request. You will see all your requests basically coming up here.
Yeah, it's not yet loaded actually.
Ah, okay.
It will take time.
Refresh it. It will.
Yeah, just refresh it. It should take that long. I mean, metrics, yes, will take time. It will take about 5 minutes to come up, but sample request should come in.
Yeah, it came. AWS managed rule SQL injection rule set, etc. etc.
Yeah.
My IP.
Perfect. Folks, we'll just take a short break here. We'll come back and we'll just explore the WAF again a little bit. And there are some more feature sets that we can do with this. And then we'll probably move on to the monitoring part of it with the SIM.
Okay, so this is in legal boundary, no? Whatever we are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Else AWS might block us.
No, nothing like that. Don't worry.
Okay.
It's just a simple WAF.
So we'll back by 11:35.
Let's come back by 11:40.
11:40. Okay. Thanks.
Cool. Hi folks, are we back?
Yeah.
Okay. One more thing that we can see in WAP itself is generic IP rules. And how we do that is there is a function called as IP sets. So what you can do is go to create IP set, just give your name over here. Select the region where you're operating out of, and you can just add your own IP address here. And click on create IP set.
According to our public IP, right?
Yeah.
We should add our public IP there.
Yes. Once you're done with that, you will see your IP set getting created over here. If you open this IP set, you will see your public IP over here. Come back to web ACLs. Click on this web ACL that you have. Come to rules. Go to add rules. Click on add my own rules and rule groups. This time select IP set over here. You can give any name. Select your IP set. And you can just select anything that you want over here. If you want to give a captcha to this user, click on add rule. And click on save. In terms of order, just move this. Let's just try it without that first and see what happens. So you will see a captcha start coming in whenever you're hitting your load balancer now.
So after resolving captcha, it will allow.
Yep. Test it out.
Oh, it is just for login.
This time modify it again if you tried the captcha and select block. And click on save rules. This time try opening it and see what happens. And you can again edit this after that when you've tried the block. Come to customer response, enable it, change your response code, whatever you want. You can even create a custom body over here, or you can just give plain text responses. Just give a name here. Click save rule. You can open your network tab and just hit this again. You will see that you're getting the text here. You will see that your response code is changed to 500.
What was the step you did after captcha? We blocked it.
So what I did was I went to this policy, I edited it, I selected block, and I enabled a custom response where you click enable response code. You can give anything you want. If you want to give this 403 or 401, whatever. Go to add new custom header. Oh, sorry, just go to add new custom response body, create a custom response body, put a name here. Text, you can add anything that you want. In case you want to add a JSON, you can give a JSON. In case you want HTML, you can give HTML. Add that, save that, and then just click save rule, and then try hitting this again.
So hacker will not come to know why it is getting blocked.
Yes, absolutely. So you can just use multiple use cases. Either you can also add a custom header in case you want to track at the back end that if something is getting blocked because of WAF. Secondly, you can just redirect them to a new page altogether if you want, or you can add a custom body where you give a reference token, etc. So they won't basically come to know what the reason is. They can still find out because the server is still ELB over here, right? So this is still coming up from our ALB response. But I will tell you a way to bypass this as well. All right. Try this out. Once you're done, let me know. If you want to see sample requests of what you were hitting and when you were requested for a captcha or when you were served a block, you can just select metrics for that specific rule set, and you will come to know in which rule set you're getting denied or allowed.
So can we give a list of IPs? Loaded from some websites are like they update the IPs, right? Like the malicious IPs and all.
Yes, this is a
We
list
have to
only.
manually do it, no, here, or is it?
The AWS CLI allows you to do it automatically as well.
Okay.
You have to just give a CIDR format and one IP per line. So that's the format that's required.
This block is working with the custom response.
Perfect.
Now, what was to be checked?
I think just hang on till then. I mean, we just wanted to get there, and now what we're going to do further is if you come back to your load balancer now and click on monitoring, you will see a 4xx spike coming up on ELB. right? Why is this ELB4XX spike coming up? Because whatever errors you were generating because of WAF was actually getting served via the ELB itself. Okay, so whatever traffic is currently coming in, whether it's malicious or non-malicious, it's actually still entering your network, and it is still your load balancer who's basically got a WAF module on top of that, and that WAF module is basically taking requests and analyzing them and then denying them or allowing them, right? Problem here is tomorrow if there is a large scale attack which comes up on your network, your ALB also requires time to scale. It's not like your traffic, if it suddenly spikes to 10x or 20x, that your load balancer will be able to handle that traffic immediately. So when we do sales, etc., or when we have, say, when we expect traffic to like really suddenly increase, right? At that point of time, there is a concept called as pre-warming in ALB, where you tell AWS support that, hey, I'm expecting increase in traffic during this point in time because I'm launching a sale or something. And what Amazon does as the backend is, can you see my terminal? No.
No.
Share it again. Okay. So what Amazon does at the backend is that if you dig the DNS name of your load balancer, you will see that there are two IP addresses here, right? When your traffic starts increasing, you will see this become 3. When it increases further, this will become 4, right? This can become as many as number as possible, and this is basically traffic dependent. Minimum will remain 2 because we have failover redundancy. That's why we keep it in 2 public subnets. So as and when your traffic keeps increasing, these numbers will keep increasing. Or you can tell Amazon beforehand and say that, hey, I'm expecting higher traffic. Please pre-warm my ALB. Based on the number of requests that you give them, they will add IPs to your ALB. Or they will pre-scale it and keep it. So even if today, if I'm getting 100 requests per second, and then I suddenly get about 2000 requests or say 20,000 requests per second, Amazon will take that and already keep your load balancer scaled up. And whenever that spike comes in, it will be able to handle it. Now, this is when we are expecting traffic, so it becomes easy to judge this. But what about when we don't expect traffic? For example, somebody finds out my DNS name here and they start launching attacks here, right? WAF will come in, they will analyze the request, they will block it. You will see a spike coming up over here, fair enough. But what if that traffic is so scaled up or is so high that your load balancer doesn't scale in time? In that scenario, you will start seeing failures occur because the load balancer is not pre-warmed. And because it is just malicious requests, for example, if I launch about 40, 50 high machines, which are basically just generating OWASP top 10 errors on your site, right? Eventually you will see that your services stop responding. And why that will happen is because our WAF is currently still sitting in our environment. It is still sitting on my ALB, and my ALBs is the one which is actually giving that response back, which is good for small scale systems to do it. It's fine. But when we are actually looking at systems which are handling a lot of traffic, it's not the right way to go. So solution is we have something called as a CDN network, which is basically a content delivery network, right? Where we say whatever request is coming in first lands on the CDN network. At the CDN network, I'm not going to go into image compression and blah, 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 and increase in efficiency. I'm going to talk about security there. So when I have my CDN network deployed, it is number one outside my environment. Number two, it can scale much faster than what an ALB can do. And thirdly, any malicious requests which are actually coming in, I can block it before it even enters my network. So I don't need to bother with my ALB scaling up or scaling down. because whatever traffic is going to come is going to get blocked before it even enters my infrastructure at all. So how do we do that? Pretty straightforward. There is a service called as CloudFront. If you open this service on CloudFront, you will see something called as create a CloudFront distribution. Over here, you can just scroll down to your load balancers over here, right? Just select your load balancer. Oh, this is going to get confusing. If you're confused about the name, just go to your load balancer, select the DNS name and paste it over here. It will give you the name of your load balancer itself. Click on HTTP only because we're still just doing 80 traffic. We don't need to enter any origin path because we're taking a request as is and we're going to be forwarding it. We don't need to send it to login.php or anything else right now. You can enter a custom name if you want. You can add any headers if you want. For example, if you want come here, you can do that. Currently, we are not going to go into caching, so I'm just leaving that as no. You can leave all of this as default. This is all just cached behavior. We're not going to get into it at the moment. Leave everything as is. So all you need
Just
to
we
do
need
is
to add header, right?
Yeah.
Can you go to header?
header is also optional. So select your load balancer, add a header if you want. It's up to you. Rest everything just leave as is and just say create distribution. Now what is important is your distribution name. So just copy this and keep this. You will see something as last modified as deploying. So this is still going to deploy. It's going to take about 5 minutes. Since CloudFront is a global service, you will see everybody's things over here coming up, but you can just search for your own distribution. Let's just wait for this to deploy. Till this is deploying, any questions so far? So you see another option here, which is basically called as alternate host names, etc., or alternate domain names. In case you don't want to expose that you're using CloudFront, you can also just register this on your own domain. For example, if I have a site called www.example.com and if I own the DNS for that site, I can just create a CNAME for the distribution. So whenever someone opens, say, example.com, they will land on the domain name of the CloudFront network, but they will not know that they are on the CloudFront network. And in the meantime that this is opening, there are a couple of settings here. Number one is geographic restrictions. If you don't want a specific country to access your network, you can just come here and deny it. There are some behaviors here in terms of caching. So if you ever want to use some caching, etc., as well in terms of image caching, etc., or you want to optimize, say, resources, you can come here and change your cache policies as well. In case you don't want caching, you can disable caching as well, right? So there are multiple options here that you can do. What functions associations does is that if you have some Lambda functions that you want to run, so serverless functions that you want to run, you can come and do that over here. But like I said, I'm not going to be focusing on the caching part. I'd rather focus on the security piece here. So that is what we're going to be looking at the moment. Okay, cool. Our domain names should be up and running, and let's try running this, and you will see that it's opening the DBWA now. But now I am hitting cloudfront.net. If you open a network tab and hit this, you are hitting CloudFront. IP address also would have changed. Everything else remains the same, right? What you see over here is miss from CloudFront, which basically says that this is not cached with CloudFront at the moment. If you see that this is a hit from CloudFront, that means it's coming and serving up from cache itself. CFID is a request ID that you can track this entire request in CloudFront logs if you require. We haven't enabled them, they're very heavy. But if you want to do request tracking or tracing, as we call it, you can also do that using the CFID. So this ID you can use and you'll be able to track the entire theory or the journey of that user. Now that
but for this case, for mine, the ALB has a web for my IP address to be blocked.
Yeah.
But CloudFront is allowing.
Yes, because now you are talking to CloudFront, you're not talking to the ALB anymore. So now the IP address that the ALB would be receiving is of an Amazon IP. It won't be your IP anymore.
So WAF cannot be on CloudFront, sir. Like it's only on LB.
No, it's not that. We will be configuring it on CloudFront as well. That was the whole concept of putting it and moving it further.
So if ALB is having WAF, then it will not get means.
It will not get
or it will not get enforced.
It will get enforced. It will get enforced, but it will be enforced at the ALB layer right now. So ALB still has an active WAF. So if we still run our site and if we hit SQL injection, we will still see ALB rejecting it. We will not see CloudFront rejecting it at the moment.
But means my IP is blocked, so I think I should not able to open only.
That's not the scene. It will open, and I'll tell you why.
Then on entering admin and password, it is giving 403. because it is not configured.
What is not configured?
The distribution is not configured to allow HTTP request method that
Yeah,
was used for
this we'll sort out. This is something we'll sort out. That is okay. So why this is still allowing you to do it? Because you are a user. If your IP, for example, is say 1.1.1/32, you are now contacting CloudFront. So CloudFront is reading your IP address, which is basically 1.1.1.32. Since we have applied no protection here at the moment, CloudFront is basically forwarding this request to my load balancer because we selected this as the load balancer that we wanted to operate under CloudFront, right? But CloudFront's IP now, which will contact will be something like 52.x.x.x. So why a request is not going in a straight 403 deny is because now the ALB is receiving traffic from this IP and not from this IP. Even though your ALB has a provision of blocking your IP address at the moment. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Now,
with CloudFront enabled, can we block the ALB publicly accessible? Only CloudFront can be accessible, not the ALB endpoint?
yes, there are ways of doing it. It's something called as shielding. In shielding, what we do is we have a distribution list or IPs from CloudFront. And in load balancer, we create a security group, which basically allow only port 80 traffic from those specific list of IPs.
So CloudFront is a
Yeah,
list of
means,
IP.
yeah.
It doesn't have a fixed
ALB cannot be in the private subnet, correct?
No, it can be in the private subnet, but ALB in a private subnet will not be able to be contacted via CloudFront then because CloudFront is a public service.
Yes.
So we need to put it in public subnet and then we need to safeguard.
So I'll tell you how to do it. If this is our ALB, there are multiple ways of doing it, right? If this is our ALB, either you take a security group, you add CloudFront IPs for 80 and 443 and deny everything else. Now, even if I have the DNS name for the ALB, right, and I try hitting it because my IP is not going to be there, it will just basically do a timeout. But when CloudFront tries to connect to it because I've added its IPs, it will basically allow this traffic.
Okay. So does AWS mention the CloudFront IPs? I'm not sure.
Yes, it is there.
It will do that. I'll show that to you as well. And also, if you want fixed set of IPs, you can also contact support and they can give it to you. IP addresses will come basic of geographic locations that you select. So when we had created this distribution, you can add that my traffic relies more on India. So give me more pops in India. So I'll just get to that. Give me a second. Second way of doing it is that you ask me whether this ALB has to be public. No, it can be private as well, right? But if this is a private ALB, you would need to deploy a NLB on top. You make CloudFront talk to this NLB, which is in public subnet, and this NLB can talk to the private ALB here because now it's in your VPC. But do remember, CloudFront will always have public IPs. It can never be in a VPC. It cannot have internal IPs.
But
So
NLB to ALB doesn't seem logical.
it is not logical, but in some places you will require it because I'll give you some use cases as well for this. In
Because
some
for NLB, what would be the means? Usually instances would be there, no servers for NLB.
You can also point an NLB to an ALB as well. Depends how you want to do it. But this is where we do when we don't have standard 80443 traffic, for example, WebSockets, for example, chat servers, for example, Kafkas, for example, RabbitMQs, right?
Correct. So
In that,
ALB doesn't have that knowledge.
yes, exactly.
Then, but why we are putting then?
I'm just saying, in case you want, if so, for example, if you have a use case that I have a private ALB, I want to listen to 443 traffic from the internet, but I don't want to expose my ALB. You can do it. It's not like you can't. So you can set this on 80, you can set the listener or 443, and you can apply TLS on this, and you can ask this to forward traffic here. In case you want to do it, it's not a best recommendation for sure, but in case you
But
want to do it,
NLB will not understand 80 and 443.
NLB will understand 8443. So layer 3, layer 4 we are at, source IP, source port, destination IP, destination port. It will understand port numbers. It will not understand HTTPS, it will understand TLS.
The TCP we need to give as protocol.
Yes.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
there are transport layer. So TLS it will understand, it won't understand HTTPS.
Hmm.
Okay. Once this comes in and you forward this request as is to the ALB will be able to understand 443 HTTPS as well. Okay.
Yeah, but not sure for 443. For ALB, there are three types for 443
So
offloading.
we can put
Other
in, we can put a pass through here itself. So if you have TLS, it will come to 443 itself, and you can put in a target group. It will just forward the traffic as is. Okay, so remember, if we have TLS, traffic from CF to NLB will be encrypted using the TLS itself, right? Data layer, if this is coming in from the user, will be encrypted by HTTPS.
user to CF is encrypted. CF to NB is also NLB also encrypted. NLB to
Encrypted,
ALB is also encrypted.
encrypted twice, encrypted at transport layer using TLS, encrypted with
Yes,
data layer using HTTPS. But because
correct.
the NB doesn't need to read the data layer, it only needs to read the transport layer. So it has a TLS certificate here, which it has. It will be able to decrypt source port.
From ALB, it will get changed.
Yes, from ALB, you will get HTTPS layer. It will be able to decrypt the data layer, provided we have the certificate that we are using over here.
Yeah, private certificate.
For example, if this was say star.abc.com, right? Then the certificate has to also be applied
Be
here.
at ALB. Yeah.
But over here, we only require TLS cert. Okay. So there are multiple ways of still doing it. CloudFront. So remember, CloudFront will not have public. I mean, it will only have public IPs. It will not have VPC IPs.
But
It will not.
also some issue will come, no? Because SNI is not supported in NLP.
SNI will not come in. Yeah, SNI support will not.
Okay, okay.
But there's a
Thanks.
workaround for that as well. You can use default certificates and you can create different listeners with different SSLs on different load balancers. So instead of having all certificates on this load balancer, then you segregate load balancing. But yeah, it becomes extremely complicated to do.
Yeah, complicated.
Yep.
No problem.
So CloudFront, only public IPs will be able to contact any public load balancer. It will be able to contact any public API gateway. Or it will be able to contact any Lambda and edge functions. So these are the three ways that we can get inside this, right? Now, to sort this error out, let's see why this error is coming up in the first place. We open our distribution. let's edit this and see why this issue is coming up. So if you see over here, this is where you will get locations where your traffic is basically concentrated at. So for example, if you have your traffic's only serving in North America and Europe, you select this. If you have it specifically in these regions, you select this. If you have people accessing your site from all over the world, you choose all edge locations. What this would do is it would give you a maximum number of POPs. And what a POP is basically nothing but a server which is located all around the world. So for example, if I'm accessing as a user in the United States, then I will contact the closest POP. So for example, if a server exists in the United States as well, for CloudFront, it will contact that. And then this will basically go on an internal network, which is much faster. Then user directly contacting something which is in a different region, then your latency for internet comes in. But if this is contacting local services over there, for example, if a person in the US is trying to access my site, they will hit a local distribution for CloudFront, which is say in the US, right? For them, latency here would be minimal because they don't have to do a cross-region transfer or a cross-region connectivity over here. And then once this hits this POP, this uses Amazon's internal network to basically reach CloudFront, which is much faster than internet latency. Okay, so putting regions as per your traffic is important. So whenever you are designing this, think about where your users are sitting and how they will basically be accessing your site. Okay, now let's just figure out why this isn't working. Let's see. So if you come to default behavior over here in behaviors, just select behaviors. Right now, we're only allowing get and head. Just allow all options here. And I think that's about it. Save this. Let's try this once again. Give me a second. Just let this deploy again, because any changes you make, it needs to deploy to. Do you guys understand why we were getting this error?
Yeah, it is deploying.
Yeah. So we had only allowed get and put, and this was actually trying a post request. We had not allowed post requests, so this was basically giving us a 403. So where we were at was that we had allowed only get and head, sorry, right? By default, we were trying a post request, hence it was giving a 403 here. So now what we did is we changed this to get head options, put post patch delete. So we allowed all options here and we basically deployed it. Once this deploys, we should be able to access this site without any failures. Folks, any settings I'm touching which you're not understanding, please let me know. Point is that we understand how things work and what is the logic behind them.
Not working.
What error are you getting?
Nothing. Same page again.
Yeah, I'm just checking why that is happening, because I think we can only log in once with that. So just give me 1 second.
Still, I removed my IP rule set and it's good.
No, it's not because of the IP. It's basically, I'll tell you why it's happening. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, I'll also remove IP block.
Yeah, I'm just trying to hit it by the load balancer, because now this will start working. You will have to come here, create reset DB. Once this is reset, now let's log in again from this. So if my guesstimate is correct, this is happening because of caching. So I'm just changing that and seeing if that works. If that's the reason, then we'll need to disable caching. So basically what I've done is I just created an invalidation here, basically to purge cache in case it had cached that URL, because I can see everything is coming as a 304 now. So I'm just trying to purge the cache once and see if that works. Also, additionally, I've just disabled caching in behaviors from here. So if this works out, then we can change it around. Still didn't work. Let's see what we can do. Okay, folks, I'll check this out and let you know why this isn't working. But let's see. Let's not waste any more time. Probably I'll just have a look at this in lunch and see what the issue is.
Can you show the invalidation?
Sorry.
Invalidations.
So invalidation is basically to purge cache. So if you want to go here and purge any layer of cache or any specific path which is basically cached, come here and do that. For example, if this was doing a caching on say login.php, then you can just come here and on this you can just send an.
Yeah, I am also trying something, but not working.
Yep, it's just some config issue. I'll check it out and let you know what the problem is. But anyway, let's just go back to WAF for this. Because in the request that we're sending, right, this is what we're getting from ALV, this is what we're getting from CloudFront. So there's definitely some issue that we've basically I'm making. So let me just check that out and I'll get back to you. Okay, let's just go back to WAF here, and concept what I wanted to bring out here is right now we had applied this WAF or this web ACL on the ALB itself, right? This time if we create a new ACL, but this time we will apply it on the CloudFront distribution itself. And this time when we come to add AWS resources, we will just select our CloudFront distribution and click on next. Like what we had done earlier, we will just select some rules. So we select the same rules that we'd selected before. Leave all the other settings as is. And create this web ACL. Okay, now that I have this web ACL over here, right? I'm going to create another IP set. Put up my IP address again. In this, you can ask why I can't use the same one, because for CloudFront we created in a different space altogether. So we create this IP set, we go to web ACLs. Whatever ACLs you create for CloudFront will be under global CloudFront, they will not be under regions. We come to rules. Sorry, we select the same policy what we had done like last time, my own rules, select the IP set. Choose your IP set and select block again. Save this. And this time when I'm going to run the application, you will see that your request is blocked. So you will see your 403 come up over here, but this time it is going to be coming up from CloudFront itself. So no matter how many times you hit this request is not going to percolate on your load balancer, so you will not see any 4xx this time. Does this make sense? I can't show you the SQL injection right now because this is not working, but I will show that to you post lunch, where I will get this to work, or whatever setting that we are making incorrectly, we will correct it and we will then fix it. So if you want to see specific ACLs that you've created on your load balancers, you select your own region, you will see that. If there are any ACLs you've created on CloudFront itself, you can go to CloudFront and you can adjust your policy sets here. So here you will see whatever I was trying to access, and the straightaway action is blocked because it's going under this metric name, which is the IP set I had created. If you want to allow this again, you can just come here and delete this. And now you will start seeing that come up. So advantage number one, you get all your POPs all over the world. So instead, if your load balancer is in a region like Mumbai or Singapore, but your users are in US, and somebody's saying that latencies are very high, you can start using CloudFront for that. Secondly, all your rules that you've created, your WAF rules, etc., you can export it to CloudFront and use it from here itself. Advantage here is whatever attacks that are coming in will not come in on your load balancer itself. Additionally, what you can also do is you can associate multiple load balancers or multiple distributions here as well. So for example, if let me just go back here. We had only put in one ALB. For example, I want to put in another ALB here as well. I can put that also. So one WAF rule can work on multiple load balancers at the backend via CloudFront. You can also use the same WAF rule for multiple load balancers that you create here, but you will have to create an individual rule for them. So for example, if I wanted to create an ACL on a different load balancer altogether, and if I come here, you can create this on multiple load balancers as well. But the only problem is that all these rules that you're applying will be local. Does this make sense?
I updated the rule, but I think caching issue is there, not sure. Still, it is not blocked.
Still, it is not blocked.
Hmm.
Oh, second, let me check.
I am able to access.
What is your, which distribution are you? A4L, right?
A4L, yeah.
You haven't associated it with your CDN.
Okay.
So if you have to go here, whichever one is yours, you have to just select this and add it to your CDN. So you've created the rule set, but you haven't associated it. Any
Time? It is still not blocked. Now it is blocked.
It should happen instantly.
Yeah, it got blocked. It's working.
Yep, I can see your request coming in. Cool. Any questions on this?
The second IP set you have created, for that you have given different IP, right?
No. The only thing that what I've done is I've created it in a different space. So for example, anything that we want blocked on a load balancer, we will have to create it region wise. Okay. But anything that I want to block on CloudFront, because CloudFront is a global service, you need to create it under a different bucket, which is the global CloudFront bucket, and then you can apply this.
Okay, sure. Got it.
So if there's an IP set which is already created for you, say, or in Mumbai, then you will not be able to apply the same IP set on the CloudFront distribution. Any questions?
So we are not able to reach to ALB from CloudFront as of now. Some issue is there.
You are being able to reach it. That's why the page is loading, but the requests are not going in properly. So what I've done, show you the difference basically. So this is my application logs on the server itself, right? On the, you're not seeing this. Okay, so these are the application logs that you're seeing on the server, right? Let me access this via the load balancer first. And if I'm logging in via the load balancer, see how the requests are coming in, right? There's a user agent, there's everything which is coming in, right? Now, let me try accessing this via CloudFront. So this is what you are seeing via CloudFront. Got this?
Hmm.
None of the CSS are basically getting picked up and loaded. And index. So it's only basically calling login.php. It's not basically calling index.php. So it's not no way to go on front. Now, why that is happening is something which I have to check.
Application should be aware of CloudFront, something like that.
Nothing like that.
Okay.
It is something either in the configuration of the CD or is something on the load balancer itself. So those are the only two places that it can actually go wrong.
I think ALB.
Maybe I'll have to check, but I don't want to waste your time right now on this. So we'll figure something out. I'm sure it'll work. I can't see anything obvious which is going wrong, but maybe something. I don't know. My guess is still there's something wrong that we're doing at CloudFront, so I'll have to see. Because requests are still landing on, so ALB onwards, everything is working fine, right? So this is something to do with the setup that we've created. Or there's something which
what was that WAF fail open? What was that in ALB?
So in ALB, let me come here. Now, for example, this setting, right? Now what happens is your WAF service is working fine, right? Now, for example, the WAF service crashes for whatever reason. Okay, WAF service for AWS is failing. Now, when you have WAF fail open as disabled, if WAF fails, that request will get blocked. So what ALB says over here is that my request has to come through WAF, otherwise I will not allow that request to come through. When you set WAF fail open to enabled, if the WAF fails, your traffic will let it pass. So it will just pass without getting filtered. But if WAF fail open is set to disabled, even if WAF fails, the ALB will not let the traffic pass through. So this is just for a failure rate. For example, Amazon WAF goes down for some reason. Do you want traffic to come in unfiltered, or do you want it necessarily to be filtered and coming only? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? So for the logs, do you want to have this on Amazon OpenSearch, or do you want to do it from Elastic? Where do you want to look at the logs from? Because last time I remember somebody requested for us to pull in these logs and see what they look like. So are you guys more comfortable with Elk, or do you want me
Yeah.
to on Elk?
We'll see here in OpenSearch.
Okay, either way I can do it on Elastic also. Up to you, whatever works. We can all just sign up for a 14-day free trial. It hardly makes a difference. We can just integrate it also. So whatever you're comfortable with.
Then we'll do it here.
Okay, cool. So then just open cloud.elastic.com and just sign up for a trial. You don't need to put any credit card, etc. You just need an account. I don't know if it will allow temp mails, but let's see. Awesome, worked.
How you'll verify that email address?
You'll get it here.
Acha.
So folks, just sign up. Let this create your deployment. It takes about, they say 5 minutes. It takes about good about 5 to 10 minutes for it to actually come up. What we will do then is we will basically come back from lunch and then work on this. And this will take about good about 10 minutes to come up. And then we'll start connecting this to our entire account and work with this. So you can use disposable emails also if you only want to do this once. If you want to basically use a proper email address, you can do that also. Just make sure whatever credentials that it gives you over here, you save those credentials because we will require them. So it'll give you a username and password. Just keep those username and password with you somewhere. And the email address if you're using a disposable ID, because you'll require the email ID to sign in. So just come to this step, create your deployment, let this create, and we will then come back from lunch and start on this. What logs you want to see here, it's up to you. I'll also show it to you on Elasticsearch as well on, sorry, open source service. If you want, it takes 5 minutes to do it here also, but we can do it easily. So just start your deployment, let that work through, and let's catch up at 2:15 if that works. Also for all of you, later today there will be a quiz. So folks who are not attending in the morning and they want to come for that, just FYI. It's open book, open internet, whatever you want to do, I'm fine with it. So if you've attended the classes and you've been through it, you will know the answers anyway.
So while creating a deployment for Elastic, a cloud provider should be Amazon.
You can keep it anything. It's even GCP is fine.
Okay.
Doesn't make a difference. It's just the backend infrastructure where it spawns.
Okay. The default I can leave as is.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll be back by 2.
2:15 please. I need to still go make lunch and all.
Okay, 2:15.
It's very tight otherwise.
Cook well.
All right, folks. Thank you. See you at 2:15.
Okay.